We have the Scotland and Fiji teams for their game at Murrayfield this Saturday evening. You've got Scotland-Fiji, which will come immediately after England-New Zealand. A couple of great games. It does feel, though, that this weekend is just a bit of a warm-up, isn't it, for weeks to come? It's like the starter, and next weekend and beyond will be the main courses when all of the big teams are involved. And in the same way, and tell me if you think I'm being disrespectful to Fiji when I say this, it feels to me like this game for Scotland is about warming up for the Springboks. They've got the world champions coming to Murrayfield next week, and I think whilst they'll absolutely be focused on the 80 minutes against Fiji, actually the objective of this game, because I see Scotland winning comfortably, the objective of this game is to prepare for South Africa and have a real crack at the world champs on home soil. And as I say, I don't want to be disrespectful to Fiji. I'm saying that and saying I expect Scotland to win and win well because Fiji, just like Scotland, are without all of their foreign-based players. Scotland miss some key men. Fiji miss basically all of their players who you probably know the name of, and the majority of their biggest stars. I'll come to the teams in just a second. I'm Tim and this is Egg Chasers. If you get value from the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Takes you no time, costs you no money, but really helps. Hit subscribe and leave your comment down below. Do you expect Scotland to roll over Fiji comfortably? Is that a fair assessment? And do you think that Gregor Townsend, as I think, has probably got in the back of his mind, though he won't be saying it to his squad, they'll be very focused on Fiji, I think Gregor Townsend will have in his mind South Africa. And as a result, I'm looking at that as the strongest possible starting Scottish 15 of the players available. And I think it'll be getting out, getting ahead on the scoreboard, blitzing Fiji, and then getting their big players off and letting some of these youngsters on the bench loose. Because there are some players, and clearly Scotland have got more depth than they have in the past. This is a really, really good Scotland starting 15, bearing in mind they are without their foreign-based players, meaning there is no Finn Russell, obviously. There is no Blair Kinghorn. There is no Ben White. There is no Cam Redpath. Chris Harris, I know he's not really around so much. So yeah, they're without some key players, but they're still putting out a really good team. This is what the URC has done for Scotland. It's got them performing at a high level. Glasgow winning the URC was huge, and it is the Glasgow team that is the bedrock, the backbone of this Scotland side, particularly in the pack. And when the Scotland squad was announced the other day, I picked what I thought was the strongest Scottish team, and it was this exact pack. And I'm so pleased to see that trio in the back row being that Glasgow trio of Matt Fagerson, Rory Darge and Jack Dempsey. Vice-captain Rory Darge on that. Scotland, what are you playing at? One vice-captain. You're doomed when you play against the bigger teams. Come on. So yeah, they've gone old school with one captain, one vice-captain, one in the backs, one in the forwards. I quite like that old school. I love that back row. And in terms of old school, it just feels like it has a classic back row balance. You've got the big defensive unit, Matt Fagerson, who can ball carry as well, is useful in the line out. You've got your rangy, ball carrying, ball playing number 8 in Jack Dempsey, and you've got your absolute weapon on the floor, slowing balls up, putting in shots, making a nuisance of himself in Rory Darge. I just love that balance. And Scotland have clearly got depth, because when you look to the back line, and there's no Finn Russell, and they've got 2 good 10s that are in the squad, in Adam Hastings and Tom Jordan, and one starting, one on the bench, but a big step down from Finn Russell. Kyle Rowe starting at fullback with no Blair Kinghorn. They will both come into the team next week, no doubt. Hastings will drop out and Russell will come in, and Blair Kinghorn will come in, and, well, I was going to say Kyle Rowe will drop out. Darcy Graham is starting on the right wing, but that jersey, if everybody was fit, would be Kyle Staines, who is, and I said it the other day, Kyle Staines is Scotland's best winger, even over and above Duhan van der Merwe. So I think he would be starting on the right wing. I think Kyle Rowe and Darcy Graham, one of the interesting things to watch this weekend is I would say they're both going into that game knowing that there's one shirt up for grabs, and one starting shirt up for grabs, that is, and that they're going to be battling for that 14 jersey, trying to put in a performance. The only... In terms of depth, I'm saying Scotland have got great depth. As I've already said, Zander Fagerson is one player that, as soon as the game is won, as soon as they're up on the scoreboard, get Fagerson off. Maybe even get him off at half-time. So he's got some rugby in his legs. He's had a bit of a physical challenge for Fiji, but then he's ready to go again against South Africa, because he's one of those guys they cannot replace. And he's one of the most important players in their entire team. Same would go for Sione Tuipulotu. In fact, Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones, Huipulotu, sorry, as a partnership, maybe get up on the scoreboard, get them off. And they've got Stafford McDowell on the bench. Yeah, and Tom Jordan, which will be good to see him. Big moment for him. The halfbacks, actually, is one talking point. Where's George Horne in this? When I picked my team the other day, based on who I think Scotland's strongest 23-man squad would be, I had George Horne in the squad. I actually had him starting at 9 with Ben White or Jamie Dobie on the bench. But actually, none of those names are starting in this game against Fiji, and it's Ali Price. He had a good game the other week. I don't know. Gregor Townsend sees him every day. Let's see how he goes. He definitely has got a good tactical kicking game. Maybe that's what Gregor Townsend is selecting. But this feels like a bit of a Scotland team, and it feels like the evolution of Scotland has been to just go play and try and score tries. So interesting to see. Maybe, I don't know if George Horne has a little knock, but to see him not in the 23 for this one either says one of two things. It's either George Horne has a bit of a knock, well, one of three things. George Horne has a bit of a knock, and that's why he's not involved. 2, George Horne is going to start, and so or be in the 23, and Fiji love to absolutely smash halfbacks. Ask Adam Hastings, he knows all about getting rattled by some big Fijian players, and he wants to keep him safe and wrapped up in cotton wool. Although if Gregor Townsend was doing that, then he wouldn't be playing Xander Fagerson, so I don't think that's the reason. Or alternatively, Ali Price and Jamie Dobie are above George Horne in the pecking order. I'd be surprised if that was the case, but there you go. That's what I'm reading into it. Let me know what you think down below. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Scotland go. They've got a good team, genuinely a good team. A few key injuries and all things can change. But if they put their best 15, 23 out on the park, and they all do their bit, then they're going to be a test for the world champions next weekend. One name, actually, I forgot to mention, Dylan Richardson on the bench. He's had a couple of caps before, but he's back in. And obviously the Sharks have released him and made him available to play for this one, which is good for them. Johnny Matthews, one omission from the squad. I don't understand that, but there you go. Let's see how Dylan Richardson goes, who is a kind of back row hooker. Let's see what he can do. As for Fiji, like I mentioned, just think of the names that are not involved. The players for Fiji that you know the name of that aren't there: Waisea Nyathalevu and Lavani Bottia and Semi Randrandra and Habosi and Dakawaka and Batitu and Makala and Maui and Tangi Valu and Luke Taji. There's loads, isn't there? Bill Matter, Albert Tuisova. Did I say Semi Randrandra, Ravuvu? They've got a whole team's worth of players not there. That said, the Fijian Drua being in Super Rugby means that a lot of these guys have got a lot more time together on the park, and maybe that'll have an impact. We'll see. They're going to be physical. They're going to be full of pride, and they're not going to take a backward step. I just don't see them winning this one. I think it'll be Scotland by a good 20, 25 points. And as I say, back of Gregor Townsend's mind, whilst he might not be saying it to his players, will be South Africa, because they will want to have a shot at the champs on home turf next weekend. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. There's a whole game to play, and I'll be here on full time with thoughts following the game and more videos coming in the build-up to this weekend and throughout the November tests. Another reason, if you haven't already, and I would love it if I would earn your subscription. I'll see you on the next video.